Welcome to the Skin We Live In podcast. And today I want to talk about the most recent and probably the most trendy hallmarks of aging that still sounds very new. Dysbiosis of the skin. But actually, the science of the microbiome has a very deep historical roots. And we know a lot about the microbial community living with us on our skin, in our guts, in our organs, but it didn't start in 21st century, despite the modern research, like Human Microbiome Project, made the microbiome the real thing and created this extremely important focus on the microbiome in the medical science, but also in the skincare. Now we know that microbes, bacteria, viruses, fungi, they are shaping our health. So let's discuss it. Let's discuss what is the Human Microbiome Project and how it changed our approach. We will discuss about the healthy skin microbiome versus unbalanced skin microbiome. And I will speak about one of the most amazing rules in the microbiology, which calls Karenina rule. Also, we will explore age-related microbiome changes and other dysbiotic microbiome changes. And finally, go to practice. Let's see what types of strategy we could use to activate longevity in our skin cells and to live happier, healthier, and better in the many years. So, let's begin. And surprisingly, I want to begin not from the skin, but from the soil. Actually, the first formulated idea of the microbiome was invented by the Ukrainian soil scientist, Sergei Winogradsky. He's been already thinking about the microbiome and in microbiome terms in the late 19th century. It was kind of revolution. It sounded absolutely amazing, and no one been speaking about it before Winogradsky. And after this understanding of the living soils, it really opened the door to the microbiome research in the 20th century and obviously in the 21st century. Winogradsky studied a soil and he came to the conclusion that the soil, it is a living ecosystem. He discovered that different bacteria are cooperating and they create the nutrient cycles like nitrogen and sulfur used by different types of bacteria all together in cooperation, just in exchange of benefits to each other. And he even showed, really first in the world, that bacteria could fix carbons using inorganic chemicals. So he literally discovered chemosynthesis in plants. And this little ecosystem idea was an early one, but it changed the approach to the understanding what the soil is. It changed a lot the agriculture of the 20th century. And finally, this little ecosystem came to the medicine. Why it is so important? Because the whole idea that you cannot understand a single microbe, single bacteria in isolation. You have to look to the whole community of microorganisms and their environment to understand their function, their activity, their role. It was the microbiome thinking. And it is how we see our skin now. The skin is an ecosystem. We cannot separate the skin from microorganisms, from the microbiome living not on the skin, but with the skin. They are very symbiotic relationships. So the health of the microbiome and the balance of the microbiome defines the health of the skin and development of the skin condition. And literally all functions of the skin, including the function which we associate with longevity or with an aging, like collagen production, or barrier function, or an ability of the skin to hold the water. So it is super important. And the next step in the understanding of the microbiome and the role of the microbiome in the active longevity was another Ukrainian scientist, the great and famous Élie Metchnikoff. He got his Nobel Prize for his work on the immunity, but at the same time he got fascinated by the gut microbiome and its role in the aging. His revolutionary idea was then so-called putrefactive bacteria in the colon. They are producing toxic compounds contributing to the age-related intoxication of the human body. And his belief was then this intoxication leads to the aging and to the death. So he's seen this potential intoxication coming from the gut and the intestine as the key reason for the human short life. And he didn't only come with the idea of the role of some bacteria in the intestine for our aging. He came with a solution, and he proposed fighting these harmful bacteria with friendly ones, so they can compete, and these friendly bacteria could detoxify the intestine, detoxify the body, and prolong the human life. And his favorite bacteria have been lactic acid bacteria, lactobacterium, and now we know that he was right, because the lactic microflora is extremely important for human health and for the human longevity in each organ, and especially in the gut and the skin. And he offered a solution as drinking yogurt and kefir. So he actually promoted the yogurt and kefir as a tool for health and active longevity. It was kind of biohacking move in the early 20th century, long before the word probiotic was invented. So even before we started to speak about DNA, even before the DNA spiral was found and described, scientists were already seeing microbes as a community, starting with bacteria, but very early they started to understand the role of fungi and later viruses in the creation of this microbial community. And also in the early 20th century, the science started to associate the microbiome with an active longevity and aging, and started to experiment on the diet and fermentation as potential tools for active longevity. So what happens in the 21st century? It was one of the greatest projects of all the time, launched by the United States of America National Institutes of Health. They launched this Human Microbiome Global Project. It was amazing and very expensive project. So we are lucky it was launched in 2007, because if the idea come later, who knows how things will go on. And very probably we will not get all the information about the microbiome, because it was such a huge budget and such a strategic move. But fortunately, the Human Microbiome Project was launched, and in the first phase, which was called Human Microbiome Project 1, the scientists all across the world, they set a map which microbes live where on the healthy human organs, skin, gut, and it was discovered that they are not only skin and gut, which are living in the symbiotic relationships with different types of the microorganisms, but all of other organs too. And it was a huge discovery of the Human Microbiome Project that nothing is sterile in the human body, because previously we've been thinking that the blood is sterile and spinal liquid should be sterile. And if you find something, some bacteria, some viruses circulating in the liquids of the human body, it is the pathology, they are contagious. But in fact, no. We have microbiome everywhere. So this map was set, and the normal microbiome patterns across the different body sites have been defined. But in 2012, the Human Microbiome Project launched the new part of the research and announced a major milestone. So it was created a detailed atlas of different types of genomes of microorganisms from hundreds of healthy volunteers. So it defines the boundary of the healthy variation. So at some point we understood that healthy human is the host for billions and trillions of microorganisms with enormous genetic diversity. Now we understand that actually in our body we have more of microbial DNA than our own DNA. We have a lot of viruses, we have a lot of bacteria and fungi all cooperating and all working together with our body, helping us to function. And apparently human beings or animals cannot live without these microorganisms. So we kind of delegate the huge part of the body functioning to the microorganisms, and we have a lot of them. Even speaking in the category of the weight, the average woman hosts about from 2 until maybe 5 or 6 kilo of microorganisms living with you every day. And when we started to understand it, when the map was created, when we understand the boundaries of healthy microorganisms, it was more clear how to measure changes in the microbiome community. What is associated with diseases? What is associated with different skin conditions or gut conditions or even different health conditions, because it's much bigger than local action. And also we started to ask new questions. For example, how microbiome could affect the human aging locally and globally. So now we are applying the same logic to the skin. And every time when we are speaking about the skin, we are speaking not only about skin cells in isolation. And when I am speaking about the fibroblast, I always mention that there are 9 types of different skin cells which are functioning in the skin, but also there are billions of microorganisms cooperating with these 9 types of cells. So we are never alone. And how it works on the skin. The skin is not just something covering the body. I hate when people speak about the skin like mechanistically, like they are speaking about some coat which you can take off, just cut, sew, wash, and put it back. It is impossible. Skin is the largest human organ. It's not only our facet. Speaking in the term of my favorite hotel metaphor, when we are speaking about the aging management as about the management of the luxury hotel, this huge living ecosystem on our skin can be explained as a community of first and foremost guests coming and going into the hotel. And actually in our microbiome, about 80% of community is very stable. They are loyal guests and they are staff working in our hotel from the very beginning until the very end. But about 20% we call tourists. So they are transient microorganisms which can come and live on our skin for some period of time. For example, when you're going for holidays somewhere, you will get new microorganisms from the new environment. But when you'll be back, these microorganisms will disappear from your skin. And actually it happens quite quickly. There've been very interesting research about Amazonian tribe and different aspects of their life, including the measurement of the skin microbiome of people living in Amazonian forest. And there've been a team of scientists who came from America to research the team, and they studied their own microbiome as well. And they found that in a couple of weeks, when they stay together with this Amazonian tribe, their skin microbiome started to change as well and has some similarity with the microbiome of indigenous people living in Amazon forest. But when they came back, this similarity disappeared in a few weeks without leaving traces. So we have some transient guests and we have some residents. So speaking in the term of the microbiome, first of all, healthy microbiome provides us with a very polite, nice, loyal guests who behave amazingly well. They are absolutely perfect. They don't rush the room. They use very carefully all service which they can find in the hotel. They are cooperating with the staff, and sometimes they even help the staff in some aspect of the life. Also, the part of the microbiome can be seen as many concierges who are discreetly deals with different troublemakers, because our microbiome cooperate with our immune system. We even sometimes call the skin now nervous, immune, endocrine system of the skin, because skin is very closely interconnected with these three types of our systems and organs. So when our microbiome cooperates with the immune system, that's like this nice concierge working anonymously. They cooperate with security guys working in the hotel. But also, they work as a cleaning crew because they are helping to detoxify the skin, to clean the skin, to eliminate different types of debris and bacteria and fungi living on the skin surface. They are, for example, digesting and transforming the sebum produced by our sebum glands, making it powerfully antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. If you don't have balanced microbiome on the skin, you don't have enough of bacteria which could transform your sebum to something useful to the skin. And it creates a situation of the dryness, clogged pores, black points appears, and so on. It is comedonogenic because of the lack or unbalanced work of bacteria. So there are many roles of the microbiome in the skin, including moisturization, antioxidant protection, anti-inflammatory protection, and even the stimulation of the collagen synthesis, because now we understand that some bacteria and some fungi and viruses living on the skin, they can promote active longevity in skin cells. They can prevent senescence. They can help to maintain the deep layers of the skin, clean and detoxified, and so on. So, microbiome helps maintain the barrier. Microbiome produces antimicrobial peptides and different types of immune defense, helping to protect our skin from infection and contagious pathological microorganisms. It helps to protect our skin from toxins, including smoking, air pollution. It plays an important role in the natural defense against the ultraviolet. And it talks to the immune system. It keeps it aware and fresh, and it even contributes to the pH control of the skin. Microbiome is slightly acidifying the skin. If the microbiome is imbalanced, it can make the skin or too acidified, and it would be irritated, thinner, red, inflamed, or too alkaline. Same thing from another pole. So, everything is good when the microbiome is healthy and well balanced. And that's we come to this Anna Karenina law. If you read Anna Karenina, you know this famous first line. All happy family I like. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. And actually, it is the same about the microbiome. All healthy microbiome are more or less alike. Every dysbiotic, every disturbed microbiome is dysbiotic on its own way. What it means? It means that we understand patterns and similarity across individuals with a healthy microbiome. That's predictable level of diversity. We know it's called Shannon index, so we can really measure it, so we can diagnose the diversity or over-diversity of the microbiome. It is similar dominant species for specific body sites, and actually there are a lot of different zones. So it's like a lot of small villages, a lot of small compartments in your skin hotel, when the microbiome is very different. The microbiome in the eye area would be different from the microbiome living on your cheeks. And the microbiome of the neck is very different from the microbiome living on your arms. And also we can understand the stable networks, association, interaction of this standard healthy balanced microbiome community. But when the system is disturbed, it can be disturbed by the disease, by the chronic stress, by the ultraviolet radiation, by the air pollution, but also by chemicals, by use of disbalancing skincare, harsh cleansers, some products containing antibacterial ingredients, or the products which promote the skin renewal so fast, then our microbiome just loses the house when the skin is renewed with the rest of the healthy microbiome. So it can fall apart in many different unique ways. And it can lead to the inflammation, it can lead to the allergy, it can lead to the dermatosis, it can lead to the premature aging. So what we see on the healthy skin? A relatively stable set of beneficial bacteria. Among them is Cutibacterium acnes, which was called Cutibacterium acnes because we've been thinking that it is contagious pathogenic bacteria which creates acne. But in fact it is not, it is beneficial, and only the overgrowth of these bacteria and dysbiosis of the microbiome contribute to the acne development. Also, another very important bacteria, it is Staphylococcus epidermidis. It is a good bacteria with a lot of anti-inflammatory property. We need it. And also that would be different lactobacillus and other microflora which is able to produce lactic acid, contributing to the natural moisturizing factor of our skin and literally playing a very important role in the moisturization of the skin. And it will be fungi like Malassezia and other microorganisms. For each area, once again, it would be specific, but we know patterns. And we need enough of diversity. We need many of microorganisms living all together. It's a little bit like a human society. When the society is diverse and peaceful, everything is fine. But when this delicate equilibrium starts to change, when we see the overgrowth of one or few of communities, it disbalances the whole situation, and like in the human society, it leads to disturbance and leads to conflict. So it should be a very delicate equilibrium between microorganisms and also different factors from the hosts, like the amount of lipids produced by your sebum glands, the hydration of your skin, the pH of your skin, the amount of antioxidant which are circulating in the skin, and so on. So every changes of the skin metabolome, we call the metabolome this collection of different metabolites and different substances which we found in the skin, and actually to hold the water on the skin surface, we need more than 100 of different substances, from lactic acid to different lipids or urea. And every disbalance of these substances can lead to the disbalance of the microbiome. So what happens when the microbiome is disbalanced? In the dysbiosis situation, most of the time the diversity is dropping. Specific opportunistic bacteria increases and grow, and it can create the pathological situation and trigger the inflammation, for example, in case if it is Cutibacterium acnes, or triggers the dryness of the skin, irritation, and flaking in case if it is Malassezia species which start to overgrow in the empty niches. And it triggers inflammation, barrier damage, and delayed repair. And the situation is out of control. So healthy microbiome is what keeps the situation under the control and what contributes a lot, probably half of the inflammation prevention relate on the microbiome, if not more. And two people with dysbiosis can have the same complaints. The skin can be dry, the skin can be acne prone or oily or red or sensitive, but microbial patterns can be very different. Now we understand better some microbial patterns of the skin conditions such as acne or atopic dermatitis with the prevalence of the Staphylococcus aureus, or some other like eczema skin condition, but we are still far away from the clear understanding of what happens in the skin in the patients with rosacea, or what happens in patients with higher skin sensitivity, because it's really large. And once again, on the Karenina law, each unbalanced microbiome, as each unhappy family, is unhappy in their own way. So in the active longevity skincare, the main thing to understand is that we are not trying to create identical microbiome. It is not the point. Microbiome is unique like a fingerprint. And when the microbiome is changed, we are just trying to support the conditions that led to the stable, resilient, balanced, and diverse, Karenina-compatible microbiome community to emerge and to stabilize itself. We know what do we want, for example, to promote the diversity, to promote the growth of some specific bacteria or specific fungi. But we cannot say that we need 1 million of this, 2 million of that, and we cannot measure the microbiome every week just to see where we are. And the recent findings, they are lying in the very interesting domain, in the domain of the aging. And actually, dysbiosis wasn't defined as a hallmark of aging until 2024. It's the most recent addition to the map of hallmarks, alongside with the inflammation. How dysbiosis connects specifically to the aging process, why we see it as a hallmarks of aging. Actually, several studies show that the skin microbiome and the gut microbiome shifts with an age, and this shift is kind of specific. So overall diversity of microorganisms often changes. Sometimes it's reduced when we speak about bacteria, the diversity is reduced. In fungi kingdom, it can be increased, but in the specific pathological way. Also, it is a decline in the beneficial lipophilic bacteria, which are able to digest it, to transform your healthy sebum to something very protective and antioxidant. And it rise of pro-inflammatory species. Now we even understand better what is the role of the microbiome in the skin pigmentation and in the creation of the pigmentation disorders. Because in the pigmented skin with melasma, chloasma, dark spots, other pigmentation disorders, that's a prevalence of the very specific 7 types of bacteria with pro-inflammatory ability, which inflame the skin and attack the skin. And in the skin with an even skin tone, which is not suffering from the pigmentation disturbance, we found the prevalence of 6 anti-inflammatory bacteria. And amongst them, guess what? Bacteria producing the lactic acid, which you can find in the yogurt. So Élie Metchnikoff was right. So now that even some scientists, they are speaking about the pattern which they call Frailty-Associated dysbiosis of the skin. So when it is associated with frailty and with an older age, the microbial community is unstable, is less resilient, and it's seen mostly in the frail adult. And actually, apparently, it can be used as a predictor of the frailty itself and of the significant age-related changes. Same pattern we see in the menopausal skin. And the microbiome of the skin starts to change long before menopausal hormonal change become more significant. The first drop in the estrogen level leads to the change of microbiome community. Once again, less diverse, more pro-inflammatory, sensitizing for the skin, and increasing the risk of low-grade inflammation, oxidative stress, and also promoting enzymes destroying collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic acid. So, easily speaking, these age-related changes to the microbiome, they trigger the development of the visible signs of the aging. That's why dysbiosis is seen now as an integrative hallmark of aging, because it's like the last domino pieces falling after primary and antagonistic hallmarks they accumulated all together. So, aging microbiome is apparently the accelerator of the skin aging and accelerator of the visible aging of the skin. But the good news is that if you could achieve the balanced microbiome again, if you could get beneficial changes of the microbiome, it's the role of the hallmark of aging. If you can improve it, it improves the whole situation. It can reverse aging, not only slow down the aging, but even reverse it. And now I also have to mention of the gut-skin microbiome axis. Actually, it's gut-skin-brain microbiome axis. And there are a lot of research showing that our microbiomes in different parts of our body, they are closely related. And they're interconnected and they affect the functionality of different organs. How it changes with gut-intestine microbiome? Gut microbiome changed with age as well as the skin microbiome, and studies show that it shifts the ratio of major intestinal bacterial groups like firmicutes and Bacteroidetes. And these changes are also linked to the inflammation, frailty, systemic aging, and also it leads to the phenomenon which we call leaky gut. So the gut microbiome starts to produce metabolite like short-chain fatty acids that regulate inflammation, barrier function, influences immune response, influences oxidative stress response, and this short-chain fatty acid, they are so small molecules, they can travel to the skin directly, and they can communicate with the skin via immune, endocrine, nervous system route, but also can be found in the capillary, just interacting with skin cells directly. So it creates this whole microbiome gut-skin axis. And what happens when the gut microbiome becomes dysbiotic? First of all, famous leaky gut. So permeability of the intestine can increase, and the substances and molecules which shouldn't travel to the bloodstream, they can go there. And they are starting to intoxicate and promote the inflammation in every organs and systems of our body, skin included, creating and increasing the inflammation, the age-related changes linked to the inflammation. It's like the constant noise in your hotel when these boring, stubborn cleaners, they are working with their hoovers and some cleaning noisy equipment during the night time or early morning. So no one can work properly, no one can relax, no one can restore during the night and during the day. Also, these harmful metabolites and inflammatory signals, they rise in these fire alarms, which works all the time, and this noise, it creates a situation when you cannot find the source of the problem because everything is so noisy. So even if you have the working fire departments or the working normal cleaning system, it doesn't work properly in this situation. And it's worsens the systemic inflammation which already existed, because it's another hallmark of the aging. And in the skin, it leads to the formation of wrinkles, loss of elasticity, pigmentary issues, and obviously slower healing, regeneration, and barrier disruption. So it's microbiome-related dysbiosis. It is a real hallmark of aging, and it shows up in the skin, in the gut, in our mouths, and even in our brain, contributing to all age-related changes and very probably to the cognitive decline as well. So it's a little bit like, the gut as a huge hotel kitchen, which started fume and waste processing system doesn't work. And the skin is beautiful outer lobby of the hotel. But this smell and fume and noise from the problematic kitchen can be seen and can be felt because they are leaking to the skin. And this ventilation system is so overloaded, then it just creates unlivable situation altogether. So, to the practical part, how to maintain the balanced microbiome for active longevity. First of all, let's see that we have three directions. First direction, nutrition and the gut health. If you can stop the leaky gut, you resolve big part of the problem with your skin, because your skin is inflamed because your gut is leaking, because the gut microbiome signaling to the skin constantly, inflame. It just damages it. Second way, it is a lifestyle, because there are a lot of beneficial changes in the lifestyle which average person can bring to their life and to get great results. And finally, topical skincare. We can use different kind of beneficial products to rebalance the skin microbiome, to restore the healthy microbiome, and to reverse aging, to reverse all these pathological unwanted processes in the skin. So first, what about nutrition? The gut-skin axis is so strong, so we always start with the question, what you eat. And we have a lot of scientific evidence which show us that leaky gut is very closely related to the ultra-processed food, to the junk food in your diet, to the excessive sugar, sweetie gasified drinks. And it can be improved in the first place if you simply stop to eat and drink the junk. So please don't do it. Every time when you choose chips instead of choosing fresh vegetables, you kill your skin. Every time when you choose candy instead of taking an apple, you just promote the formation of the new wrinkles on your face. So what are beneficial products? What are beneficial patterns which you should follow? The food should be high in fibers. It should be diverse, so you should eat not only one favorite plant, potato, but many of them. You should eat fermented foods, and you should forget about ultra-processed food. So beneficial patterns, they are vegetables, fruit, legumes, whole grain. You feeding your gut microbiome with fibers and microelements and a lot of antioxidants. All of them, they are producing specific short-chain fatty acid with promoted anti-inflammation effect. Once you start to eating healthily, your skin start to heal. Also, remember Élie Metchnikoff, fermented food, yogurts, not sweetened, I'm sorry to say it, but once again, just natural yogurt, kefir, kimchi, kombucha drink, all types of fermented products like sauerkraut, miso soup, everything is very beneficial for your gut, and so it is beneficial for your skin. And it contributes to the active longevity. We know Metchnikoff was right. And absolutely important, it is the right intake of healthy proteins and healthy fats to support barrier lipids and repair. Please don't think that protein bar is equal to the piece of the healthy fish or healthy meat or the portion of beans. It is not. Protein bars and protein drinks, it's just a desperate move when all other food is inaccessible and you need some energy and you need proteins. You should eat the real food, the normal food, and preferably cook yourself. So, the goal is not to find some superfood like, oh my God, goji berry, let's all eat goji berry. No, but the whole healthy diet, which can be very traditional. One of the best diets for your microbiome and for your skin, it is a Mediterranean diet, which beneficial both for your gut and for your skin. And it's closely associated with an active longevity in many communities. So, for your microbiome in your hotel, you just feed them with a healthy food in your restaurant. And suddenly they become much more polite and cooperative. What we can do about the lifestyle? Different factors of lifestyle, they are contributing to the dysbiosis of the skin. First, it is the air pollution and smoking, the ultraviolet radiation, which has a strong antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral component. So your microbiome will lose the diversity very fast when your skin is exposed to the sun on the regular basis. And the stress. The stress, the cortisol hormones, is contributing to the dysbiosis of the gut and of the skin. And also the factor which we call over-sanitizing. When you use too much of sanitizing chemicals, when you use too much of cleansing product in your house, but also when you are using harsh soap, harsh cleansers to your skin, or you are using some products with antibacterial components in them, for example, benzoyl peroxide or salicylic acid, which is highly antibacterial. Yes, traditionally, it is a part of the anti-acne skincare, but now the life is changing and we don't see them so beneficial anymore. We prefer microbiome, gentle, microbiome-friendly approach. So, active longevity lifestyle for your microbiome means ultraviolet protection. If you want to know more about it, please listen to the episode about the sun protection, which I registered much earlier. The air pollution protection, you should use skincare products which are not only helping your skin to stay healthy and moisturize your skin or provide it with some necessary substances, but also provide you with an antioxidant protection and provide you with some shield against the air pollutant. And you should avoid unnecessary skincare with antibacterial properties. And you absolutely should switch to the gentle, microbiome-friendly, non-foaming, non-soap skin cleanser. And protection and the smart choice of the skincare really helps your skin because it really reduces inflammation, it reduces the oxidative stress on the skin, and it really contributes to the active longevity. Everything could keep your microbiome happy, keeps your skin happy. And happy skin, it is a healthy, useful skin. And finally, what we are using in the skincare to promote the health of the microbiome, to maintain the balance of the microbiome. There are a lot of ingredients. They are prebiotic, the beneficial food for your beneficial microorganisms, and this food is very selective, so unwanted pro-inflammatory microorganisms, they cannot thrive on these prebiotics. So we promote the growth of beneficial microorganisms and we suppress the growth of unwanted bacteria and fungi. Probiotics, they are technically living microorganisms, so we are literally transplant living beneficial microorganisms on your skin. In the skincare, it's much more difficult than in supplementing because we cannot use dry powder in the skincare. We should put it in some liquid, in the serum, in the cream, and the moisturizer. And so with living microorganisms, it's difficult in many ways. So the most used ingredients, they are so-called postbiotics, which can be called probiotics because it just sounds simpler. But they are fragments of bacteria, lysates, part of membranes of bacteria, which also promotes the growth of beneficial microorganisms. And finally, there are biofermented plants, biofermented extract. Me personally, I love kimchi extract in my skincare formulation. I use a lot of kimchi in their skincare formulas, from anti-aging formulation to deodorant and acne treatment. Also, we can use biofermented resveratrol, which is amazing ingredient for active longevity ingredients because it acts epigenetically, promoting and upregulating sirtuins, genes also known as useful genes of our skin. They are preventing senescence in the cells. They are even protecting the stem cells niche, and also they are very anti-inflammatory. They are very antioxidants. So, biofermented food for your skin can be amazing. Kimchi, resveratrol fermented by winemaking bacteria, or sake extract. Also, I'm using the sake extract in the formula for redness treatment or sensitive skin. Or can be used wine extract. Even the beer is now used in the skincare formula. So we don't force a specific microbiome. We create a favorable environment where a healthy, stable community could live, and we work on the metabolome of the skin, recreating this environment with right lipids, with right elements of the natural moisturizing factor. And very important, we should moisturize the skin properly because healthy microbiome needs water. Microbiome communities, they are living on the river, on the lakes, exactly like human community. Always choose a place to live next to the natural source of the water. If your skin is very dry, if it is dehydrated, it's very disturbing for the microbiome. So it's another thing to keep in mind when you work on the dysbiosis. And also that's new generation of ingredient called Agebiotics. So as you can guess, they are prebiotics and probiotics which are associated with beneficial effect in the aged skin. And we use them as a part of active longevity strategy. Most of them, they act as not only as a promoter of the beneficial community of microorganisms on the skin, but also they produce specific metabolite with anti-inflammatory effect or skin brightening effect, or even they can boost the collagen synthesis in the skin. For example, the new Agebiotic called Æonome produces a metabolite called coumaric acid, and it boosts the collagen production in many types of collagen and makes the skin more resilient, but also restores the elasticity of the skin. So, in hotel language, prebiotic, it is a food which we give only to good guests and to useful members of staff. And probiotics and biofermented food, which we can call metabiotics as well, and Agebiotics, they are new beautiful guests and new beautiful staff member. We invite them to live in our hotel temporarily or permanently. So how your microbiome-friendly daily routine should look? Gentle, non-stripping, non-foaming, microbiome-friendly cleanser, moisturizer or moisturizing serum with a strong antioxidant effect, which can be enriched with prebiotics, probiotics, biofermented plants extract or Agebiotics, and skin protection, moisturizer and even sunscreen, which should be microbiome friendly, which should not contain any types of antibacterial ingredients, and maybe they could be enriched with prebiotics, probiotics, metabiotics, or Agebiotics as well. And also remember, no junk food, no ultra-processed food, a lot of water, vegetables, fruits, fresh meals, preferably cooked by yourself, stress management, physical activity, and protect your skin and your body from the air pollution and the ultraviolet. And please, quit smoking if you smoke. So, that's from this 19th century science started by Ukrainian scientists such as Sergei Winogradsky and Élie Metchnikoff, to the 21st century skincare formulation. It was a long way, but it is so exciting, and the science really changed. That's how we can care about ourselves. And skincare, it is a self-care. So stay with it and care not only about your skin, but now you understand that you should care about billions of your little friends. It's your responsibility. If you have any questions, please leave them in comment. I will be happy to discuss microbiome. It's one of my very favorite topics. And please like, share, tell about the Skin We Live In podcast to your friends. And stay tuned. More episodes to come.